Good afternoon. I hereby call this the sixth meeting of the House Standing Committee on Families and Children to order. This will be our last committee meeting for real this time. I do want to take a moment before we end. I know Nick sent his thanks, but I really do. I want to take the time to thank Ben and DJ and Logan. We would not be able to do this without them. They keep me on task and organized, and I really thank you doesn't seem enough. They spend time away from their families just like we do, and they put in the work to make sure that we were able to get our legislation through. So thank you all. Okay, DJ, please call the roll.
Representative Bojanowski.
Here. I'm really here.
Representative Callaway. Representative Kleins. Representative Dietz.
Here.
Representative Doan. Representative Duval.
Here.
Representative Elliott.
Here.
Representative Holloway. Representative Mosier.
Here.
Representative Pollock.
Here.
Representative Rayburn.
Here.
Representative Riley. Representative Rourke.
Here.
Representative Stalker.
Present.
Vice Chair Wilson.
Here.
Chair Heverin.
Here, thank you. The bill on the agenda today is Senate Bill 181. Senator Tishner, if you could make your way to the testimony table with your guests. We do have a proposed House Committee Substitute 4. I am going to go over that briefly before you all introduce yourself. So what House Committee Substitute 4 does is it defines family member, and it makes an exemption for family members for Senator Tishner's bill. Something that I thought about was my mom was in the school system, and she shouldn't have to fill out a paperwork to say that she could talk to me via text. That wasn't the electronic traceable communication. So it would exempt certain family members. Per the request of Senator Tishner, there was a volunteer investigation language included in there. On page 15 of the sub, there is language added that provides age-appropriate instruction on child sexual abuse through curriculum or programs in accordance with the standards set forth by the National Children's Alliance and approved by the Children's Advocacy Centers of Kentucky, regardless of grade level. We have a lot of children that are sexually abused in Kentucky, and I believe that they have a right to learn that what is not a safe touch. And so I appreciate Senator Tishner being amenable to that language being added in there. That's something I've worked on for the last several years. We have also included pages 16 through 41, House Bill 805, which was Representative Wilson's bill from this past session, or from this session. Just a few highlights. It changes a few definitions from threats to risks, intake to report for the Children's Alliance request, reporting for CPS intakes and annual reports to be added to the website. It tells CPS that they must contact local law enforcement between 14 days for juveniles or 5 days if the child is less than 5 years old. It includes zero-V recommendations and information on safety plans. It has passed this committee. It has passed the House. We fear that this bill could get lost in the weeds as we finish day 29 and day 30, so we want to make sure this passes. It was cleanup language from last year. So with all that said, do we have a motion on the proposed?
Motion.
Okay, I have heard a motion and a second on proposed House Substitute 4. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion the House Committee Substitute is adopted. Representative Rourke, do you have a question on the committee? Okay, let me, if it's okay, I'm going to have them introduce themselves and speak, and then we'll get to your question. All right. Senator Tishner.
Yes, I'm Senator Tishner from District 6.
I'm Stacy Briscoe.
Brad Briscoe.
Okay. Thank you so much, committee, for hearing this, and thank you, Chair Heverin, for taking the time. So Senate Bill 181 will put into place standards that protect the integrity of the education profession, the proper relationships between students and those in authority, but most importantly, it will return previous safeguards that protect children and their families. For most of us who grew up without cell phones, it never occurred to us that our teachers would just call us up and want to chat and build a relationship and check on us. It just wouldn't make any sense. Well, it's happening all the time right now, and unfortunately, more and more cases are coming up where bad actors are utilizing easy access to students through cell phone, social media, gaming apps to reach students who have very malintentions. So this bill will require school districts to establish a traceable communication system, one or more communication systems, programs, or apps that parents will be able to trace and be able to see what contact is happening between that person and authority, whether it be a staff member, volunteer, or coach. It will put into place a process for investigations of allegations that are that are outside of the approved system. Family members in the district will be exempt. Parents and guardians will have an opportunity by written consent to approve designated staff and volunteers to have that direct communication. And it will also ensure the identity of minors who who have allegations of unauthorized contact, sexual contact, or sexual misconduct remain confidential. And those cases, due to the nature of those cases, will have an extension of an investigation of 120 days. This case came about from just seeing, I have pages and pages of a quick Google search of cases of sexual misconduct, or not sexual misconduct, but inappropriate conduct, and that we've seen within our education institution. And I know every parent, every teacher, every good administrator wants to ensure that our parents feel confident when their kids go to school and that they're safe and protected. And this is to put back guardrails that used to exist before we had technology so easily accessible. Stacy and Brad Briscoe are going to share their story. It was really a strong motivator for drafting this legislation to hopefully prevent what happened to their family from happening again.
I'm going to make a quick, so I did let Representative or Senator Tishner know. Sorry, the House is obviously superior. No, I did let Senator Tishner know that her guests would have 2 minutes to speak, just because we are on a tight deadline. I've told them that before the meeting, so I don't want anyone on the committee to think I'm being rude. I am going to start a timer because we do have to get back to the floor. But please go on with your testimony.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to read really fast. At least 202 text messages that we now know about and 10 phone calls between an adult school employee and our then 16-year-old daughter, Briley, outside the knowledge and watch care of us as parents. A high school counselor with uncensored freedom weaponized technology against our family. Senate Bill 181 is absolutely vital to the future safety of children, families, and teachers and counselors throughout the state of Kentucky. Brad and I are lifelong residents of Anderson County, and I have been a public school teacher in Anderson County for the past 27 years. An Anderson County high school counselor tried to override our parental rights in order to facilitate our daughter's and classmates' romantic relationship that we believed unhealthy. The high school counselor introduced emancipation to our daughter, but when that didn't happen, the counselor developed a plan to report us to Child Protection Services with a case of dependency, neglect, and abuse, which could prompt the cabinet to remove our daughter from our home. The counselor even suggested that our daughter might be permitted to live with her in her basement. The high school counselor had our daughter secretly video our conversations and told our daughter to try to provoke us so that we might say something in anger to her. The high school counselor instructed our daughter how to use voice memo app on her phone. When we learned of the false report of abuse, we cooperated fully with the investigation, which concluded that the allegations were unsubstantiated. I want to give you a quick example of one of the 202 text messages. Our daughter, "Mom just asked me if I talked to any of you all, and I said you, because she said you needed to know to fill something out." The counselor, "Oh, well." Our daughter, "Just letting you know so you're not blindsided if anything comes out of this." The counselor, "I'm not worried at all. I mean, they can take their pick from me, who is the cheerleader of the gays, Ashley, who is the trashy lesbian, or Melissa, who is the assistant and superintendent's wife, who will make her lose her job." Daughter, "I love you." Counselor, "It'll be fine. They can't make me lose my job." There were 10 phone calls between the counselor and our daughter. Many of the text and phone calls occurred outside of normal school hours, and all of them occurred without our knowledge or consent.
Thank you. We have a motion, and we have a motion and a second. Representative Rourke.
Thank you, Chair. Senator Tishner, can you explain how the bill would impact, I'm going to use an example of like Facebook, for example. If someone were to have, someone in the school system were to have friended a youth and a student, does that count as the same level of communication, unauthorized communication, as messaging through the app itself, or is friending permitted?
Well, the bill doesn't necessarily address Facebook. The school districts would need to choose what is approved, and parents would be made aware within the first 10 days of the school year what apps are approved to be used. I would think that if that's not on the list, because it isn't necessarily traceable, especially if they're direct messaging each other, it would not be approved as a traceable app.
Chair, may I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
Okay, so it's maybe fair to say that districts will adopt a policy and that would be seen at a later time. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes, it would be at local control.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Bojanowski.
Yes, so I'm also a teacher in an elementary school, and quite honestly, during COVID, I ended up having some of the kids' cell phone numbers, and it was kind of strange, right? It just didn't seem right. But so I do think this is good legislation. I think that there should be professionally boundaries such as this. My question is so as on page 2, the line reads, each local board of education shall designate a traceable communication system to be the exclusive means. So does that mean, but then just a minute ago in your statement, you said that there could be multiple. I mean, in Jefferson County, we use Google Classroom. Parents are invited to it. It's on the record, and that could be a way that teachers electronically communicate with students, even classroom. Can there be other things? I could see that there may be a need for some sort of an app for athletic teams or something like that. Is there only one approvable?
No.
Or could it have multiple as long as it follows the procedures?
Yeah,
in the bill?
it could have multiple. In the definitions on page 1, it says traceable communication system means one or more electronic school notifications. So they just need to create the system of traceable communications with however many apps they choose to participate, because your coaches might use something different than your teachers are using.
Representative Wilson.
Yes, I think I may know the answer, but I'd like to ask and maybe clarify. This applies only to online communication. I mean, what if you have a student see a teacher or a coach out at Walmart or at church or something, or even the young lady you mentioned, I'm sure she had meetings with the counselor in a guidance counselor's office setting. So does any of this bill relate to any communication like that?
No, this is specific to electronic communications. Kentucky Youth Advocates had a really interesting study that they put out with information they gathered from KDE. 70% of the inappropriate communications cases that were out there, inappropriate conduct, were from electronic communications. So I think we're going to grab up a lot of the improper relationships that might be happening through electronic communications. Whatever's going on, there's ethical guidelines and policies in place at the school district level to address what's appropriate in and out of a school building or a school function, as in, coaches aren't necessarily supposed to drive students around alone. Those are really already in place.
Representative Stalker.
Thank you so much, Chair. My question is for those kind of rare situations where we may have students who find themselves still in school and they have already turned 18. How does this change as far as those interactions? They are now considered legally an adult. So if they are looking to make some sort of connection with a teacher, that I'm just thinking that could be possible. And if you could speak to that, if that's something that you guys have thought through.
That is a really good question. I don't know that I've fully thought that through. I believe if a student is 18 and in school, they're still under the care of the district. Am I correct, Tina? Representative Bojanowski.
Yeah.
That is a good question. I do feel like the authority would still be in place that parents, if their student is enrolled there, even though they're 18, they're within their home, they're still technically their legal guardian. And they would need to follow and adhere to the policies and procedures that are in place within the school district, regardless of if they're 18 or 15.
because we don't have the clarity, I think that would just be helpful
Yeah.
for everybody just to know moving forward, so that everybody can be informed and stay compliant. That's all. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Representative Pollock.
You mentioned local control. The process, you're saying that school boards, districts designate what apps they're going to use in their district and how that is processed through?
Yes, it's at the school board level. They'll determine for their district what apps are acceptable to use.
So each district could obviously choose a different route, but this bill is saying you will have something in
Yes.
place.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing no further questions, DJ, please call the roll.
Representative Bojanowski,
Yes.
Representative Callaway,
Aye.
Representative Kleins,
Explain my vote.
Yes.
So I really like traceable communication. I wish when I was a principal and superintendent, our schools all used one. But I also had some concerns, and I shared them with the sponsor. So at this time, I'm a pass.
Representative Dietz,
Yes.
Representative Doan, Representative Duval,
Yes.
Representative Elliott, Representative Holloway,
Yes, and I need to record my attendance, please.
Representative Mosier,
Yes.
Representative Pollock,
Aye.
Representative Rayburn, Representative Riley.
May I mention something before I give my vote? I believe that as long as a student is enrolled in a school, that still applies in those situations, as long as they're still enrolled. I'm a yes.
Representative Rourks,
Yes.
Representative Stalker,
Yes.
Representative Wilson,
Yes.
Chair Heverin.
Yes. The bill passes with favorable expression with 15 aye votes and 1 pass vote. And it should do so same on the House floor. We do have a title amendment. Do I have a motion on a title amendment? We've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Nay. Okay. The title amendment does pass. Representative Callaway, do you have a question?
I just need to record my attendance, please.
All right.
And
Thank you.
same here. Thank you.
Okay. As a note for members, if you walk into the committee room, it is automatically recorded for attendance during session. And so some little cleanup language on day 29. Can I get a motion for adjournment? We are adjourned.
Thank you. I'll let you go first.